Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some entitled parent stories and our first story of the day is by FlyTheW0816. No ma'am, cheating the system is not as easy as you think. My first post here but definitely won't be my last. I work in college admissions for a private university, so I deal with entitled parents and teenagers every darn day. This first noteworthy event happened back in September, just after our newest semester started. With COVID, all offices that don't deal directly with student needs like us are working virtually via phone and video calls. But because we also deal with visitors and prospectives, we use a rotating skeleton crew where we each cover our office 1 to 2 times a week. It was my turn to be at our front desk, and I was just sitting listening to music while I get through hundreds of emails when a woman and her teen daughter come in. The woman asks about herself, thinking about starting school again, wants to take classes, pretty standard thing to deal with. I ask the normal questions, any previous college, what would you like to do, when would you want to start, etc. The lady says, "So I want to get started as soon as possible, so can you get me started?" I say, "You can definitely apply for the spring semester, which means a January start." No, I can't do that. I need to do it now, so I was thinking on Monday." "Oh, well, we are a few weeks into the fall semester. Unfortunately, the deadline to register for classes was last week." "Why can't I take a class now?" "Well, it's been 3 weeks into the semester, so we can't just have someone join a class that way. Have you even applied?" "I don't have to. Can't I just sign some papers and give a check and get in class? I need to do that." "I am sorry, this semester has closed. We can't do anything else, but you have to apply for spring." Here, she got very red-faced and actually started pacing around our lobby. "You know, you're not the only school in the city. You should want to have me." "We would gladly take you in January, but our policies state no one can enter after the registration deadline." "Who else can I talk to because you are no help?" Her daughter, by the way, is just sitting in a chair looking like she wants to die. "Okay, well, we have our student support dean upstairs who I think can help us with the situation." With that, she grabbed her daughter and headed out of the office and up the stairs. She didn't even wait to hear where exactly to go. Turns out the dean and everyone in the office was gone. So I heard the next morning that the woman actually wandered the halls for a few hours before being met by campus police and asked to leave since it became after hours. We haven't heard about her since. I've speculated that she is in a job or a program that gives benefits to anyone who is enrolled in college, and they came asking for proof. It is pretty common. The catch is these employers don't ask for proof until after they know all local schools have closed the registration, just for people like this woman. She can go to any school she wants, but won't be given anything. For anyone out there who hasn't gone to college or never finished their college, would you ever consider going back to college? I never really went to a proper college scenario myself, but if I found that there was a passion that really required college, I'd probably consider it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Our next story is by elkwaffle. "Sir, is this your baby?" This happened a few nights ago when I was working as a server in a fish and chip shop in the UK. So it's an average Tuesday night around 10 p.m., about half an hour before closing. Monday to Thursday nights, we would typically only have 2 members of staff in after the dinner rush as we weren't too busy. It would be the manager/cook and a server. Normally myself, as I was the only full-time server and could cook and disassemble most of the equipment alone for cleaning. It's pretty normal at that time of night that the manager would be in the office, and I would also be out back washing up or prepping for the next day, and one of us would just come out when a customer came in. This meant that unless I was serving a customer, the front was typically unattended. A guy comes in, so I come out and take his order, but at this time we only cook to order, so I say it'll be 10 minutes. He says no problem, he's just going to run to the shop just across the road. I say no problem and go out back to get his food to throw in the fryer, then head back out to continue cleaning. A few seconds later, my manager calls me into the office to check something. We look on the CCTV and there's a pram in the customer area, no one around. So he sends me out front to check it while he watches the CCTV to see who the heck has left a baby unattended and a chippy at 10 p.m. Turns out it's this guy. We're just stood there like, What the heck do we do with this random baby? He says he'll hang around out front to keep an eye on it as anyone could walk in, and asks me to keep an eye from behind the counter. This guy was gone for like 20 minutes, leaving his baby unattended in a shop where he didn't even tell us it was there. We were minutes from closing time when he eventually saunters back in. My manager asks him to confirm it's his kid. We knew because we checked on the CCTV, and tells him the police are on their way as it's a clear safeguarding issue, and as a business and personally, we could get into huge trouble for letting someone leave their kid in such a dangerous environment. The guy explodes, calling us all sorts of names and trying to claim that I said I would babysit when I took his order. Luckily, we have very comprehensive CCTV, so we could prove that I had no idea, and my manager backed me up that I wouldn't have done that. This guy just keeps raving about how we have no idea of customer service and how we could treat him with such disrespect. The police haven't arrived yet, and the guy eventually just pushes past my manager, grabs the buggy, and makes a run for it when he realized the trouble he's in. Somehow, the baby has slept through the whole thing. We passed the CCTV over, but I don't know if anything came of it with the police. This happened years ago, and I've got all sorts of other stories from this job, but this is still the one I can't believe happened when I look back. I feel like maybe they should have done better to make sure that the police got there before the guy got away, although nobody would really want to get in the way of a guy pushing a stroller rapidly through an area, both for the kid and for your legs. But it would definitely be interesting to hear what the police would do beyond that point. This next story is by JavCorado6, entitled Mother Thinks Her Kid Should Play With My $1,500 PC. More of an entitled kid story. Info: I recently bought this PC that cost about $1,500, without counting the monitors and other stuff. And I was very delicate with it. My grandma's birthday was approaching, and since my family and my grandma live in the same city, all the other family members traveled to visit. I love my cousins except one group. These kids are spoiled. Their mother doesn't care about them, so they developed into bratty and annoying kids. One is about 11, the oldest, and she is the least annoying, but she doesn't care about what other people think and always does what she wants. The middle kid is about 8, and he is a crybaby. If we don't let him see our phones or let him play with them, he goes to cry to his or my parents. And the third one, about 4 to 5, is always making fun and picking on the middle kid. He also breaks many toys and is a snitch himself. On to the story. I was chilling in my house playing some Counter-Strike when I hear the door. I hoped it was the good cousins, but it was the trio. In the beginning, we were in the living room talking and telling stories, but after a while, they went deeper in the house, my room. First, they annoyed my little bro with his Nintendo Switch. After a while though, they got bored and went into my room. The first to walk in was the small kid. He immediately sat on my bed that is next to my desk and started watching me play. He asked to play, but I said no as it was too hard for him and he would die. Then the middle kid walked in. The old one stayed talking with the parents, and they started arguing over who was going to play first. After a couple of matches, they started saying it was their turn, and when I refused, they started picking on each other for fun. At one point, the young one punched the big one, who fell into my PC's tower and knocked it over. It was very heavy. They got scared and went to tell their parents. The PC was fine, not even a scratch. But then they made up a story about me picking on them and not letting them play and had to let them play. The mother screamed at me in front of my parents and told me if I made her baby sad again, she would make sure my computer disappears. At one point, the small kid was playing and got so mad after dying that he punched my keyboard, knocking a piece off. This was a $30 keyboard, so I got mad. And the mother told me off for being a snitch when I told my parents. They eventually left, and I now have to play with a keyboard and a key sunk lower than the rest. It's mechanical, so they're higher than normal keyboards. I told my mom to buy a lock for my room, and she agreed. So next time, they ain't even coming in. Listen, I don't know how old OP is, but I don't care what family member it is, if they're going to claim because I didn't let my cousins touch my $1,500 PC that they're going to make it disappear, we're probably gonna be throwing hands if you're gonna try and make my PC disappear. Definitely a lock for your room is a necessity. The even best option would be a key lock so you could lock it and leave the room. Our next story is by LBluePheonix. Karen tells me to get off her property. I'm not on it. This happened a couple of years ago. I remember it like it happened yesterday. Backstory. My best friend at the time was Brady, and we hung out with Nolan, our other friend. Then I got into an argument with him, which resulted him being grounded and me not allowed to see him. Now to the story. I was playing at Brady's house. We were in his yard chasing each other. I was 11 at the time, he was 7. I saw Nolan staring at us through the window. At this time, he was grounded. I was running and I accidentally stepped into their yard. It was like motion detection. As soon as it happened, I see the door to Nolan's house open. Entitled parent, Karen, and Nolan's mom walks out. Ahem. I say, huh? What are you doing on my property? Oh, sorry, Miss Karen, I didn't mean to step on your lawn. Entitled parent with a look of doubt on her face. Excuse me? Don't lie to me, little brat. You were trying to see Nolan, weren't you? Me, silent. Brady walking up to me. Miss Karen, he was running from me. We were playing tag. I don't think... Quiet, I wasn't talking to you. Entitled parent's mom comes out. Nolan told me everything. He said you gave him some signal and started walking towards our yard. Me and Brady are just confused. I'm calling police on you for trespassing. I think we might be putting a restraining order on you, you little witch. I started to cry at this point. I was being yelled at and I was scared that I was going to be arrested. Through my tears, I saw Nolan wearing the biggest, smuggest grin. Nolan says, Mom, I don't like him. Make him go away. Don't worry, baby. I'll get rid of him. I start to walk away. Don't you freaking move. I literally collapsed on the ground crying. Entitled parent called 911 and stared at me with evil intent. 15 minutes later, a cop car pulls up, and the cop that comes out is none other than Brady's dad. Brady's dad, in a sarcastic tone, What seems to be the problem, ma'am? Entitled grandma and entitled parent tell their side of the story. Me and Brady do the same. Why don't I check my security cameras on my house? He disappears for 10 minutes. Entitled parent has a ghostly look on her face. Miss Karen and Miss Karen's mom, what you said was completely false. I'm giving you a warning this time. Entitled grandma and entitled parent say, but, and Brady's dad glares at them. They walk away in defeat. And that's the end of that. Brady's dad goes back to work. I go home and Brady goes inside of his house. Imagine being so clueless and so evil-hearted that a kid accidentally steps onto your lawn, assuming they're playing with the neighbor's kid, playing tag, and you start interrogating him. Not only you, but your parent with you starts interrogating this child, and then you call the police because they put 1 foot on your lawn? They deserved more than a slap on the wrist, honestly. And I kinda wish that Brady's dad, the police officer, got the story about Nolan lying, so that maybe the police officer could go up to Nolan and instill a little bit of fear in them about lying, about calling the police, or, well, lying in general. Just something to get back at that jerk of a kid too. And our final story of the day is by decearing-eggz. Let your sister use your expensive stuff. So I, female 19, rarely ever get to have nice things. When I do, it's out of my own pocket most of the time. So I recently got myself some nice markers that were £6 a packet. A lot for me, seeing as I usually have to buy my own food and can't get a job with the whole pandemic thing happening. And I came downstairs to see my sister, 7, scribbling with them like they were discount store bargain bin things. So I explained they were mine and that I didn't like her scribbling like that, and she gave them back to me apologizing. Enter my entitled mom and stepdad, EM and ESD. What's going on here? Sister says, I want to go to shop. Entitled stepdad says, and why is that? I say she wants some markers like mine. Just give her the markers, OP. What? But these are mine. I got them myself out of my own money. Entitled mother mockingly, these are mine. I paid for them. She's a special and careful child. She can use your markers. I say, but I'll remember that next time. Let her have them now. I reluctantly hand over my markers and start to make my way upstairs, pretending not to care. When I do, they were expensive for me, and my sister likes to mix marker colors, meaning her own are murky and gross. I'm also constantly being told I'll be kicked out because I don't do everything for my sister. So now I'm just waiting to get something I paid for back. All things considered, it sounds like the sister isn't a bad kid. I think the only real hope in this scenario, considering the limitations that are on OP due to the pandemic and just it not being realistic to just move out themselves, would be to embrace that sometimes they do have to share stuff with their sister, and by extension, when you can, get some stuff that mimics your own stuff but is only meant for your sister, like getting them some cheap versions of some markers and stuff and either using them with her or just allowing her to use it and just doing your part to try and ensure that she remains respectful to you and your stuff and hopefully doesn't get Karenized like her parents. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So which of these stories was your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing and turn notifications on if you haven't so you'll never miss an upcoming video. Any little thing that you do helps the channel grow so much more. Whether it's commenting, subscribing, or just watching the video, thank you all so very much for supporting me right here on the Storytime channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all next time right here on the Storytime channel.